back to another GarageBand lesson, and this time we're going to be looking at the guitar instrument on the iPad. So today we want to start with the smart drums part that we've created before, just the one with a musical change on the 5th bar. So I've got mine here and I called it janice.smartdrums.1. So I'm going to duplicate that to begin with by holding it down and naming it this one, my name, which is janice.guitar.1 this time. Now when I enter the track mode, I should see this. So all I need to do is to click my plus icon here and add a new track, or simply click one of my empty ones here and scroll the icon thing to bring up my new instrument choices. So now I'm going to choose guitar, and when it comes up, it should look like this. Now this is an important button here where you choose between the notes and the chords. And what we want to choose this time is chords. It should be on chords by default, but sometimes it's not. It might show up as notes. So we're going to use notes in a future lesson to create a lead guitar part, but not today. We're going to use many notes together. So this is what it looks like on notes. And this is what it looks like on chords, which is what we want for today. Now you're going to notice that you can strum the strings up and down the chords like this. Yeah, I can also touch where those letters are to play the chords like that. So just experiment around with it yourself. Now, let's just talk through the chords that are there. The chords that you should see there, if you haven't changed any settings on your iPad, are these. It's a capital E, little m, capital A, little m, capital D, little m, and then you've got a capital G, C, F, and B with a funny sign called the flat sign, and then B dim. So what does all that mean? Well, of course, if you're an experienced musician, then you would know about chords already. But I just need to go over this a little bit for today so that everyone's on the same page with it, because anyone can make music with GarageBand with a little guidance no matter what you've played as an instrument before, and you just need to know a little bit of background about the chords. Now the little M's just mean minor. So we have E minor, A minor, and D minor. The minor is just a different sound or harmony to the chord. Now all these chords belong to what we call a key, and the key we're working in at the moment is C major. We know what it is if we click this little settings spanner on the top right, and we'll see it here, and it says C major. Now if I wanted to change that, well, I'll just try it now to show you. See, all these chords can change too. So in music, there's really hundreds of chords because there are 12 different letter named keys, major and minor keys as well. So there's lots and lots of different chords that we could potentially choose by changing these settings. So all of that background understanding, that gets a bit complicated. So that's why we're going to stick to just C major. So now going back to C major, the thing to remember is that we're in the key of C. So our C chord, therefore, is what we call our tonic chord, or sometimes we call it our home chord of the key. It's the most important one of everything that we're going to use. It's the one that we're going to return to in the music to make it feel like we're finished at the end too. And it's also a good idea to start with it so that our music starts and ends on the same way to make us feel like it's beginning and ending well. It's complete. Now the way that GarageBand is set up is that we have the tonic chord in the middle and then all the other chords moving outwards from there, really in the order that they're most common in music. Now you'll see on the left of C is G. Now that's the second most important chord and what we call a dominant chord. And then to the right of C is F, and that's the third most important chord. And they move outwards in importance level, if you like that. So have you ever heard of a song referred to as a 3-chord wonder before? Well, if you've done a lot of rock music before, I bet you have, because many of those songs, rock and pop songs in particular, use nothing but those 3 chords, and they are C, F, and G, or their equivalent in other keys. So therefore, that's why we're going to start with the guitar. Task A on today's assignment is to record an 8-bar guitar part using manual strumming and the chords C, F, and G. So we're going to give that a go now. So did you notice that when I start with C most of the time? Also, I don't want to change very quickly. It's going to sound the best if I stick to one chord per bar, or every 4 beats. So once you've done that and you're happy, you can sign off task A on your achievement record and get it signed off by your teacher. I want to keep that, but I also want to do something else with it. So I'm going to go to my songs and duplicate it again. And it's already called janice.guitar.1. So this time I'm going to duplicate it and I'm going to call it janice.guitar.2. So it's not rocket science, but it's important that you keep up with that. And I'm going to enter that new file and delete the guitar part so that I can create something new then. Now this time you can also experiment around with a few different guitars that GarageBand provides for us as well. We've got the acoustic, which I was just using then, but then we've got a few different ones as well. We've got the classic clean, we've got the hard rock, and we've got the roots rock. So for this next one, I'm going to just choose the classic clean. Now moving on to task B, this says to record a guitar part using the autoplay feature using following chord progression. So, what's a chord progression? Well, a chord progression is just a sequence of chords and it's usually written on a piece of paper like this with vertical lines. And the vertical lines refer to bars. So you see here we have a C and then we have an empty bar before the G. So this means that we play C for 2 bars and then we have the G for 2 bars and then we go back to C at the end. Now let's have a look at this autoplay feature. So if I turn this dial here from off to one of the numbers, you'll see that the strings disappear. And then if we touch one of the chord bars here, it begins playing. So we can experiment around until we find the one that we like. So I think I like that one. So I'm going to record it now and you can see I can stick C for 2 bars and that's 8 beats. And then I'm going to go to G and stay there for the same amount of time. Now, I need to be careful and change it exactly the right time because if I'm too late, it's not going to sound right. It's not going to come in at the right time. And if I make a mistake, of course, I can press the undo or go into the track view and double tap to bring up the new menu and press delete. So once I've got that done, I can check off then task B on my achievement record, which is recording a guitar part using the autoplay feature. So I hope you're getting the idea of that because there's just a lot of chords presented on the screen here, and most of them we don't need to use them at all. GarageBand gives us these options, but do remember that music focuses around the central chords of the key. So a song can be used 2 or 3 chords and it can sound just as good as one that has lots of them. Okay, so for my last task, I'm going to duplicate the file once again, and I'm going to go back to my songs and hold to duplicate, and I'm going to call it my name.guitar.3. Now I'm going to go in and delete that guitar part so I can do a new one again. So for task C, what we're going to do now is to create another guitar part using the chords C, F, and G. So I think this time I'm going to choose the roots rock guitar. Now you can see I can even layer a couple of parts over the top of one another. And there's a lot of different options for you here. Also, this time you need to write down your chord progression in the place provided on your assignment sheet. And this way you can use it again with other lessons. So once you've done that, you can check off task C on your achievement record.